Minecraft's latest update dropped yesterday, and I spent some time fiddling with the various changes and new features. I have some thoughts about this update, and not all of them are positive. That might be a shock to a few of you, as I have been very much in favor of this update since it was announced back in October. So what's changed? Am I back to needlessly hating on Mojang for the current thing, trademark? Or is there something to this admittedly small update that has me feeling worried or disappointed? First things first, let's talk about the parts of this update that I really enjoyed, and there's quite a bit here. For the most part, the Pale Garden, the Creaking, the Pale Oak, the Pale Moss, and the Resin, and all the other in-game changes I like for the most part. I'm going into this video with the assumption that you know most of the features of this update, but if you don't, I'll go ahead and give you a quick rundown. 1.21.4 is a rather small update, adding one new biome, one new type of wood, one new mob that is essentially the opposite of an Enderman when you think about it, a retextured version of another block, Moss, entirely new blocks in the form of resin, new armor trim materials, new flora, and lots of really awesome changes under the hood. Maybe I should try to ground this a little bit more. That was a lot to take in really quickly. I loaded up a new world in 1.21.4 and found myself in a meadow biome. Completely random seed, had no clue. In front of me was a birch forest, to my left was a village down a hill, and to my right was another forest with a pillager tower. This already was a pretty cool seed, but when I went into the village, I found that there was a spider spawner right next to one of the houses, so even better. But little did I know, 100 blocks away from me was the Pale Garden. Again, this was a random seed. I had no clue what was going on. I'll throw it up on screen right now for those of you who want to check it out. Pretty cool seed, all things considered. Back to my journey though, I wanted to settle in the new biome to get a taste for what life is like there. And the first thing I noticed was how quiet it was. No music plays in the Pale Garden. No peaceful mobs spawn in the Pale Garden. It feels eerily out of place for a Minecraft world. As I cut down a couple trees, the sun began to set. I worked on building the walls of my little house as quickly as possible so that I wouldn't become the new mob's little snack. The Creaking is a pretty terrifying mob. It's interesting because the terror in it comes from the fact that it's basically the character foil to the Enderman. Endermen, of course, only attack the player when the player is looking directly into their eyes. At any other time, the Enderman is pretty much neutral to the player. The Creaking, on the other hand, is always hostile to the player if that player is within range of the mob. When a player is looking at a Creaking, it doesn't move whatsoever. This, in theory, would make it a rather difficult mob to find as its texture blends in pretty well with the pale oak trees that it arises from. The eyes do kind of give it away though. As soon as the player is not looking at our new friend, it will charge the player with incredible speed, dealing pretty high amounts of damage. Though if you manage to make a shelter and sleep the night away, the mob disappears as the sun rises. You can move around the forest freely during the day knowing that you are safe. This has led to a pretty fun experience so far. I can't say whether or not I'll enjoy this in a couple of months, but for now I can certainly say that it's interesting and different. Beyond the Creaking and beyond the new wood type, the new flora, Pale Moss and all of its related blocks are really awesome additions to the game. The grass in this biome is very washed out, the sky is a pale white, and even the water has lost much of its color. Pair this with the moss and vines everywhere and you got a pretty ambitious biome. It's very different. It's by far the most hostile environment the surface of the overworld has seen, at least in an unnatural sense. Of course, you likely know that the Creaking cannot be killed by normal means. Players must destroy a Creaking heart that can be found in the new Pale Oak trees. This is a welcome change from other mobs. It's kind of similar to the Warden, that killing the Warden isn't so simple, and I like that about the Creaking. Of course, the Creaking itself also seems to be modeled after old concept art for the Warden, which is also really fun. With the Creaking and its heart come resin. Resin is a nifty building block and new material for armor trims, which is always lovely. You can make some sick flame patterns with our armor trims now, I love that. The resin blocks themselves take me back to like old 1990s and early 2000s RPG games for some reason. Something about that bright orange texture just makes me think of old Doom-like games. The ones that pretend they're 3D but they're actually not. You know, those are the coolest games. I love them. The textures feel like something that Notch would have made, albeit with far less polish. Prelude of the Chamber, that's the game it reminds me of. Notch made that one too. That's a really old game that Notch made in like 2 days a long time ago. Very much reminds me of that. In terms of what is on the surface of the update, I'd say it's a good minor update to the game. However, I do want to take a moment to talk about some of the things that have been happening lately under the hood. Since 1.21, Mojang have taken great steps to make it easier than ever to create content inside of Minecraft without mods. Now, if you're a normal viewer of the channel, I've talked about this multiple times, but I'm gonna do it again because I think it's really important that people know about it. With 1.21 specifically, we saw the addition of things like data-driven paintings and enchantments. Moving into 1.21.4, we now have data-driven music and data-driven items. I don't know exactly when these things were added. Some of them might have been added in like 0.3 or 0.2. I don't know exactly, but you get the point. Now, Mojang is making it easier than ever to make your own unique content within Minecraft itself. This is great for server owners like myself who want to create truly unique experiences without having to force people to download mod packs or use a particular modding API. With these new changes, anyone can join a server and get the same exact experience as anyone else. That's pretty awesome. That's the kind of work that makes Minecraft so special. Admittedly, it's a pretty niche thing. Not many people are going to care about such an experience or such tools, but for the people who do, like me, it's really, really cool, and we get to share these things with you, the people who may not use it. That being said, while I do feel that this update is largely positive, I have one pretty major critique that is entirely subjective and not at all real, but it is one that I think is a problem. And before I get to that, I'd like to take a moment to plug my channel memberships. If you like my content and you like what I do, you can become a member for $3 a month. You get access to all of my video essays early. Video essays. Oh god, are they actually... okay, some of them are video essays, some of them are dumb. Anyway, you get access to all of my videos early, all of my live stream VODs as well, and you get access to members-only videos that include me ranking my different versions of Uno, which I have like 20. Don't ask, it's a weird obsession I have. Or I go over my first set of Pokemon cards. This allows me to make more creative and flexible videos while giving those of you who truly enjoy my stuff more stuff to watch. I probably shouldn't use the word stuff, that's like writing 101. These videos will be free for everyone eventually, but only on my second channel, and they will be uploaded in 720p. So if you want the full HD versions of this at 60 frames per second as soon as they come out, you can help me out and purchase a membership. Anyway, let's go back to the update. For the first time ever in a Minecraft update, I have this strange feeling that I can't shake. Some of the content here feels modded. This is something that has been said time and time again over the years. It seems like with each new update, there's a group of people saying that this isn't Minecraft, that it's too off, and it doesn't feel like the game. And every time I've heard this, I've kind of brushed it off. After all, Minecraft is whatever you make of it. If the devs want to add some wacky underground city or a creepy new mob, while you may not like it, others do, and it's cool to have more stuff in the game. However, with the Pale Garden, which I do like, and I like the creaking and the resin blocks and all of that, there's something about this place that feels more modded than other biomes. So this now tells me that it's not just a blind hatred for the current thing, trademarked, but maybe this critique has some merit after all. But what specifically made me feel this way? Why did I feel a little bit uneasy about going into this new biome? They could add crazy huge ancient cities, massive trial chambers, or revamped villages, but none of them really felt out of place. There's one detail about this biome that makes me feel like it's truly modded, and that's the sky. Now, I'm no stranger to the sky changing color in Minecraft. It's something that's been in the game for a long time. In fact, the sky used to be this color of blue, and now it's this color of blue. And actually, that's not even entirely true. The void is actually this color. This is something that I take advantage of all the time in my server. The Spring Forest biome has a slightly more blue and vibrant version of the sky that we would normally see in Minecraft, and the Floating Reef biome dives all the way into this idea and makes the player feel like they're underwater. And this Limbo biome that I made has a white sky just like the Pale Garden. This is nothing new to me. One could make the argument that I feel this way now because I have done this kind of stuff in the past, and that might sway how I feel about Mojang themselves doing it, and I won't really contest that point. That's entirely possible. However, there is something almost jarring about going from a vibrant blue sky of a birch forest into the white void of a Pale Garden. It doesn't really feel natural to me. I suppose one could argue that maybe it's just cloudy out, but clouds are usually pretty varied in texture, with some parts being darker than others, and normally when it's cloudy, you can't see the sun at full visibility. It might be blocked a little bit, or at least blurry through a thin cloud. You don't see it in full visibility. And that's not to mention that there are other clouds that are lower, whatever. It just doesn't really make sense to me. At least when I did the whole white sky thing in Limbo, Limbo as a biome represents the literal edge of one reality going into another. That's very interesting. It kind of makes sense. Why would things get wacky at the bottom of the world? You're going to the edge of reality. That makes sense. But in a vanilla Minecraft world, where it feels more like a planet, more like a connected overworld, this feels a little bit out of place. And thus, I'm left in a weird place. I've never felt this conflicted about such a small detail in a Minecraft update before. Of course there's things like the combat update, or the whole revamping villagers, which can be argued, to be worse or better for the game. But this is such a tiny detail to be weirdly conflicted about. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. This is a pretty minor update though, and I'm still holding out hope for like an end update with 1.22. Maybe I should make another video on that. It's been a long time since I've talked about that, and I have some new ideas about it. Maybe I should do it again. What do you guys think? Regardless, I want to hear your thoughts on the new update. I guess bundles too. I've been using them for a long time. I know like everyone's like, oh yay, bundles, wow. I mean, I've been using them since 1.19. I feel the same way. It's like, oh cool, neat. Anyway, that's all for today's video. I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Bye bye.